Perfect thumbs up. Here's the full one-part 1500 words article for Trick-or-Treating's Tricky History. History Honors S1E 250, written in a cinematic storytelling plus educational tone, ideal for video narration, blogging, or SEO content. Jack-o'-lantern Trick-or-Treating's Tricky History. History Honors S1E 250. Unmasking the origins of Halloween's sweetest tradition. Every Halloween, millions of children around the world dress as witches, superheroes, ghosts, and ghouls, shouting the same magical words at strangers' doors, trick or treat. It's a night of laughter, sugar, and spooky excitement, but behind this light-hearted tradition lies a fascinating, and sometimes eerie, journey through history. Trick-or-treating didn't simply appear with the rise of candy companies or costume stores. Its roots stretch deep into the soil of ancient Celtic rituals, medieval religious customs, and early American folklore. It's a story of spirits, generosity, fear, and community, all wrapped up in a candy wrapper. The ancient origins. Samhain and the spirit world. Before Halloween existed, before carved pumpkins lit up porches, there was Samhain, pronounced Samhain, a festival celebrated by the Celts of ancient Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. It marked the end of harvest season and the beginning of the cold, dark winter, a time associated with death. The Celts believed that on the night of October 31st, the veil between the world of the living and the dead became thin. Spirits could roam freely, both friendly and malicious. To protect themselves, people lit enormous bonfires, wore animal skins and masks to disguise themselves from evil spirits, and offered food to wandering souls in hopes of being spared from misfortune. This act of offering food to appease spirits is one of the earliest known precursors to the modern-day treat. It was both a sign of respect and a form of protection, a deal between the living and the dead. In these ancient gatherings, community was everything. Villagers shared their harvest and stories by firelight, creating bonds that turned fear into festivity. Over time, these pagan rituals would be reimagined through the lens of Christianity, and the spirit offerings would evolve into something both sacred and sweet. From pagan to Christian, Samhain and All Hallows Eve. As Christianity spread across Europe in the Middle Ages, many pagan customs were absorbed into Christian celebrations. Samhain was transformed into All Hallows Eve, the night before All Saints' Day, November 1st, and All Souls' Day, November 2nd. During this time, the practice of souling became popular in England, Ireland, and parts of Western Europe. The poor, often children, would go door to door offering prayers for the souls of the dead in exchange for food or small cakes known as soul cakes. The exchange was both spiritual and social. Families gave food to ensure blessings for their deceased loved ones, while the poor gained nourishment and a sense of inclusion. It was charity, religion, and tradition wrapped together, and the first clear version of what we'd now call trick-or-treating. As the centuries passed, souling evolved into guising, short for disguising. People dressed in costumes representing ghosts, saints, or mythical creatures, and visited homes performing songs, poems, or jokes in return for food, drink, or coins. The idea of wearing disguises wasn't just for fun. It was believed that dressing as a spirit might fool actual spirits and keep one safe. By this time, Halloween had already developed its core elements: costumes, house visits, offerings, and fun mixed with fear. But it would take one more migration, across the Atlantic, to transform these folk customs into the Halloween we know today. Across the Atlantic, the American transformation. When Irish and Scottish immigrants came to the United States in the 1800s, they brought with them their folklore, superstitions, and customs, including the traditions of guising and souling. America, with its melting pot of cultures and community-based small towns, provided fertile ground for these customs to grow. By the late 19th century, Halloween in America had become a night for parties, ghost stories, and mischief. Young boys, in particular, embraced the trick side of the holiday, pulling pranks like removing gates, soaping windows, and even vandalizing property. By the early 1900s, these pranks had become a national nuisance. Cities and neighborhoods wanted to keep Halloween fun, but safe. So community leaders, teachers, and parents began promoting organized parties, costume parades, and neighborhood treat-giving as alternatives to mischief. It worked. The promise of sweets was enough to distract children from trouble. Tricks were replaced with treats, and Halloween began to shift from a night of chaos to a night of community. The birth of trick or treat. The phrase trick or treat first appeared in print in North America during the 1920s, especially in Canada and the northern United States. It captured the playful threat perfectly: give us something good, or we'll play a trick. By the 1930s, the phrase had spread, appearing in newspapers alongside images of costumed children holding homemade candy bags. Though the Great Depression made sweets scarce, the tradition continued in small towns, often with homemade popcorn balls, fruit, or cookies. Then came World War II, and with it, sugar rationing. For nearly a decade, Halloween celebrations were subdued. But when the war ended, everything changed. The candy boom, post-war America and the rise of Halloween commerce. The late 1940s and 1950s were a golden era for trick-or-treating. Suburbs were booming, streets were safe, and families were growing. Candy companies, spotting a golden opportunity, jumped on board. They began mass marketing candy specifically for Halloween, packaging sweets in fun, bite-sized portions. Advertisements portrayed happy children collecting candy from smiling neighbors, reinforcing the idea that treats, not tricks, were the key to Halloween harmony. By the mid-1950s, trick-or-treating was an American institution. Parents encouraged it, kids adored it, and candy companies profited immensely. Halloween had gone from ancient ritual to commercial juggernaut. But as Halloween grew, so did public fears and myths. Fear and folklore, the dark side of the candy bag. In the 1960s and 70s, urban legends began to spread, tales of poisoned candy, hidden razor blades, and malevolent strangers. Television news reports fueled the paranoia, even though almost all such stories were proven false. Still, the fear changed the way people celebrated. Parents began inspecting candy carefully, and store-bought, factory-sealed treats became the standard. Homemade cookies and fruit fell out of favor, replaced by trusted brands like Hershey's, Mars, and Nestle. Ironically, the very fears that darkened Halloween also strengthened its commercial core. Candy sales skyrocketed, and Halloween became the second-largest consumer holiday in the U.S., right after Christmas. Meanwhile, movies and television helped cement the imagery of trick-or-treating in popular culture. From It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown 1966 to E.T. the Extraterrestrial 1982, Halloween was portrayed as both nostalgic and magical, a night of childhood wonder tinged with mystery. Modern day, trick-or-treating around the world. Today, trick-or-treating has gone global. In Canada, it remains nearly identical to the American version. In the UK and Ireland, the older, guising, tradition has merged with American-style candy collecting. In Mexico, Halloween coincides with Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, blending indigenous and Catholic customs. Japan, though it doesn't practice door-to-door trick-or-treating, has embraced Halloween as a massive costume and street festival, with parades and elaborate cosplay. Social media platforms have added another twist: virtual costume contests, digital candy hunts, and global Halloween challenges. Even trunk-or-treating, where families hand out candy from decorated car trunks in parking lots, has become popular in schools and churches, offering a safe and community-centered alternative to traditional trick-or-treating. Despite changing times and technology, one thing remains constant: the spirit of fun, imagination, and togetherness. The sweet legacy, why we keep knocking. Trick-or-treating isn't just a children's pastime, it's a living story of human culture. It's a celebration of community generosity, ancient beliefs, and the enduring human desire to face fear with fun. Perfect, here's your two-part 1,500 words total historical feature article titled Jack-O-Lantern, Trick-or-Treating's Tricky History, History Honors S1E 250. Each part is around 750 words, written in a documentary-style narrative tone ideal for articles, YouTube narration, or SEO storytelling. Jack-O-Lantern Trick-or-Treating's Tricky History, History Honors S1E 250. Part 1. From Pagan Fires to Doorstep Delights, 750 words. Every Halloween night, as costumed children shout, "Trick or treat!" and fill their bags with candy, few stop to wonder where this strange ritual began. How did knocking on doors for sweets become one of the most beloved, and enduring, customs in Western culture? The answer lies buried deep in history, in a blend of pagan superstition, medieval charity, and modern marketing that transformed fear into festivity. The Celtic roots. Samhain and the spirit world. Long before Halloween, ancient Celts celebrated Samhain, pronounced Samhain, marking the end of harvest and the arrival of winter, a season associated with death. They believed that on the night of October 31st, the barrier between the living and the dead grew thin. Spirits could wander freely, seeking food, warmth, or mischief. To ward off these restless souls, villagers lit bonfires and wore disguises made of animal skins or masks. They also left offerings, food and drink, outside their homes to appease wandering spirits. This early form of giving food to unseen visitors would later inspire what we now call treats. Samhain was not just a festival of fear, it was a night of unity. Communities gathered to share the last of their harvest, tell stories of ancestors, and prepare for the hardships of winter. In this balance between life and death, trickery and generosity, the spirit of modern Halloween was born. Christian conversion, All Hallows Eve and the birth of Samhain. By the 8th century, Christianity had spread across Celtic lands. The Church, seeking to replace pagan traditions, established All Saints' Day on November 1st and All Souls' Day on November 2nd. Together, these holidays honored the dead and saints, turning Samhain into All Hallows Eve, later shortened to Halloween. During the Middle Ages, the practice of souling became popular across England and Ireland. The poor, especially children, went door to door offering prayers for deceased souls in exchange for food or small round cakes called soul cakes. Families who gave these treats hoped that their generosity would help speed their loved ones' souls through purgatory. Souling was part charity, part superstition, and part community ritual, a sacred trade between the living and the dead. It carried the same spirit of reciprocity that defines Halloween today. You give something, and in return, you're spared misfortune. Masks and mischief. The tradition of guising. Meanwhile, in Scotland and Ireland, a related custom called guising took hold. Young people disguised themselves as ghosts or fairies and visited homes, performing songs, jokes, or verses in exchange for food or coins. The disguises were meant both to entertain and to fool evil spirits, a mix of fun and fear that perfectly mirrored Halloween's dual nature. These European traditions, souling and guising, merged folklore with faith, creating a social ritual that blended generosity, disguise, and harmless mischief. It was the blueprint for what would later become trick-or-treating. Crossing the Atlantic, Halloween comes to America. When Irish and Scottish immigrants arrived in the United States in the 19th century, they brought their autumn celebrations with them. America's small towns and immigrant neighborhoods soon echoed with the laughter and pranks of Halloween night. But early American Halloween wasn't the candy-coated holiday we know today. It was rowdy and mischievous. Young pranksters played tricks, tipping over outhouses, stealing gates, or covering windows with soap. In some places, Halloween night became a headache for adults, who called it mischief night. Communities soon sought a safer alternative. By the early 20th century, civic leaders and parents encouraged organized neighborhood activities, parades, costume contests, and house visits. The idea was simple: offer treats instead of enduring tricks. It was both a bribe and a solution. And with that clever compromise, a centuries-old blend of ancient ritual and modern innovation evolved into one of the most cherished traditions in the Western world. Part 2. The Candy Revolution and the Modern Halloween, 750 words. The phrase, trick or treat, first appeared in print in the 1920s, mostly in Canada and the northern United States. The words perfectly captured the spirit of the night, a playful ultimatum: give us something sweet, or we might play a prank. At first, the practice was small and local, but newspapers from the 1930s onward show the tradition spreading rapidly. Yet it wasn't until after World War II that trick-or-treating truly became a national phenomenon. Post-war America and the candy boom. During World War II, sugar was rationed, and Halloween celebrations were modest. But when rationing ended in 1947, candy companies wasted no time turning Halloween into a sugary spectacle. Advertisements urged families to hand out sweets, portraying it as wholesome community fun. The candy industry promoted Halloween as a holiday of giving, simple, safe, and sweet. Bite-sized candy bars like Hershey's, Snickers, and Milky Way were packaged as perfect Halloween handouts. By the 1950s, suburban America, full of children, sidewalks, and friendly neighbors, became the perfect setting. Parents encouraged trick-or-treating as a safe outlet for fun, while candy companies fueled the craze with themed packaging and marketing campaigns. Halloween had become a national ritual, a night of childhood adventure wrapped in chocolate. Fear, folklore, and candy safety myths. As trick-or-treating spread, so did fear. In the 1970s and 80s, reports of poisoned or tampered candy caused nationwide panic. Parents inspected every treat, and communities organized controlled Halloween events in schools or malls. Most of these horror stories were unfounded, urban legends that reflected growing anxieties about safety and trust. But they had a lasting effect. Factory-wrapped candy became the only acceptable treat, replacing homemade cookies or fruit. Ironically, fear only strengthened the commercial side of Halloween. Candy companies thrived, and Halloween became the second largest consumer holiday in the US, just behind Christmas. Pop culture and the Halloween legacy. Television and film turned Halloween into a cultural phenomenon. In 1966, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown captured the innocence of trick-or-treating, while movies like E.T. the Extraterrestrial 1982 and Hocus Pocus 1993 immortalized it in pop culture. By the late 20th century, Halloween had become more than just a night for children. Adults joined the fun with costume parties, haunted houses, and elaborate decorations. The holiday's blend of play, nostalgia, and fear made it a cultural goldmine. Today, trick-or-treating remains the heart of Halloween. In neighborhoods around the world, children still roam the night in costumes, echoing the ancient Celtic belief that on this night, the boundary between worlds is thin, and the living can walk among spirits. Global variations. A world of Halloween traditions. Trick-or-treating has gone global, though each country adds its own twist. In Canada and the UK, the custom closely mirrors the American version. In Ireland and Scotland, traditional guising still survives alongside modern candy collecting.